everybody, welcome back to Let's Talk. Hello, this is Let's Talk. I'm Yu Tsai, and I'm here today with Kiernan Shipka, and we are going to talk about what we've done for the Harper's Bazaar Singapore photo shoot. But before we jump into that, we already started a conversation about how she got started. I just want to give us a little wrap up of what we were talking about. How was it for you to start in this industry at such a young age, 6 years old, actually?
Yeah, it's interesting. We were kind of talking about the fact that it's definitely a more peculiar childhood that I had, but I don't know any different. And there's the element of it that the exposure that was kind of a little bit odd at a young age to, you know, have a bunch of people watching you virtually grow up. But then there's the side of it where I was going to work every day with the most talented of people, with the nicest of people, with the coolest of people. And that was for 10 years of my life. And I was getting such an education from them as actors. And I was learning how to be professional. And I was genuinely getting one of the most fulfilling experiences that I could ever really have imagined. So it was, you know, there was a part of it that was a little bbit strange, but then there's a part of it that's actually so wonderful.
But how did a 6-year-old little girl that knew then that acting was what you wanted to do?
It's so funny. I just knew it was just a bug. It was just, I was performing everywhere I went. And I think that I needed acting in order to get all my energy out. So you were probably
very energetic, and you were always dancing in front of your parents, and,
oh my
you were
God.
singing. I can just see you like with a karaoke machine mic with a hairbrush or makeup brush.
Exactly. If I didn't end up in the acting industry, I would have been even more annoying of a kid, because I wouldn't have gotten to, you know, get my energy and my performing energy out in anywhere.
Well,
so
what an amazing, profound situation to be in, because for me, who are much older than you, that I don't remember when I was 6 years old. I honestly don't. I think I start remembering when I'm 7 years old. So, but for you, you have this privilege to be able to look back and actually see how you have grown and progressed. Yeah. Now, the character Sally was so mature for her age, and I know that you grew up with her. How similar were you guys?
Well, we definitely had different living situations and different life situations.
I hope so.
Luckily, I think I had more attentive parents than she did. But it was interesting, because growing up is obviously such a profound experience for everyone. Those years from, say, 6 to 15 are probably some of the most formative, foundation laying years that one could have. And I was doing it alongside kind of another version of myself, which was really strange if you think about it. I was kind of having two parallel childhoods in some kind of way, but it was interesting.
And I read that you had your first kiss actually on screen in real life.
Oh yeah, for sure. Everything I did on screen before I actually got around to in real life.
Do you feel like because of that, there's a lot of spoiler alert in your life that you didn't get to experience for the very first time in the right way?
You know what? I could look at it as a spoiler alert, or I could look at it as just preparation. And I was like, this is practice. This is my rehearsal. So
you know what? Everybody always thought the very first kiss is actually incredibly awkward and something they actually don't want to be their first kiss. So you actually got a benefit.
Exactly. I got to just knock it out of the way.
Well, I love your character, how it grew and how it evolved. But I know the content of Madman was such a mature content. What was it like for you, right? What was it like for you to actually to get into that character and be able to be in that character when you don't get to read the whole entire script, I bet?
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger.
I'm sorry, Kiernan, give me 1 second. There's a little technical stuff.
Cool.
Jump right into the last question.
Yeah, so when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, even probably 11, I wasn't reading the scripts. I wasn't going to the table reads. I was just focusing on my character, and it was fine because nothing else in the story was really relevant to her anyway. So so I just kind of chose to focus on her life and only her life. You know, whatever Roger and Joan were up to didn't really matter.
But that's kind of how reality is, right? For 6 or 7 years old,
right?
They don't care what daddy's doing or mom is doing. That kind of developed the character for you, I would feel.
It really did. And then once I got older, obviously my character started getting exposed to more, and so did I. And eventually I was so excited. I was so excited once I got to start going to table reads and reading the whole script and watching the show. It felt like a real big milestone. So that was really nice.
Wow. Without saying, I mean, it's obvious that your parents were incredibly supportive in this process, because you didn't drive yourself to table reads at 7 years old.
Exactly. Yeah, no.
So you were brought up properly.
What?
You were brought up properly.
Yes,
you were taken care of.
I have awesome family, awesome people around me.
Well, it's interesting because in this business, I've worked with so many different people that have started at such a young age, like the Disney kids, you know, like Christina Aguilera and Justin Timberlake and all these guys. Even Lindsay Lohan I have a relationship and worked with for a long time. And they all seem to have these dramatic moments at some point of their life that, whether it's just learning experience or regret, do you find yourself have to watch yourself so you don't fall into the pitfalls?
I think it's definitely about having a lot of awareness. And it was interesting because what was kind of like very unique about my situation was that when I was growing up and when I was filming, I wasn't filming 24/7. I was filming a couple days a week, and the rest of the time I was really dedicated to just being a kid, you know, just to taking classes, playing sports, hanging out with my friends, doing stuff. So I felt like I was never really robbed of a childhood, which I think is extremely important for so many reasons that I could go into. But that was definitely important for me. And I think that remains one of the most important parts of sort of my life, was that I never felt like I was sacrificing something to be on the show. I was getting every kind of experience that I needed to in those formative years, as well as doing this kind of crazy abnormal thing. But for me, it was about maintaining that sense of normalcy outside of Mad Men.
Well, I can tell you that I'm sure a lot of people are jealous that you can call John Hamm your dad and January Jones your mom. They're not bad-looking parents to have.
Oh God, so unattractive, right?
And I had an opportunity to work with John, and he was so incredibly gracious. And because he started this business really late, I even remember running into him when he was just a waiter in Silver Lake, you know, and he was so incredibly humble. And what was it like growing up with him and shepherding you? And was he like a father figure to you?
It was fantastic. He is such an incredible person, an amazing actor, an amazing talent, but also just so good at leading. Like, he was such an amazing leader on that show. And honestly, a lot of people ask, I think they asked John this, they asked me, they asked January, like, did I ever get any advice from them? Did they ever give me any advice? And the truth of the matter is, like, no, watching them was the advice. Wow. Like, watching them work and being in scenes with them, that was the learning. Like, it wasn't anything super verbal. It was just sort of this professional relationship that we all had that also turned into friendships. But like, just being able to observe the way that they worked at such a young age, you know, I soaked it all up like a sponge. And that was, to me, that was kind of my education. What was going there and just watching them do their best work. It really made me, I don't know where I would be without it.
That's amazing. And as you grew up, as you got older, as the show has come to a finish, do you miss her? Do you miss Sally?
So much. Oh my gosh. I want to know what she's up to. I miss her so much. I'm not done with her. I still miss her so much. She was so fashionable at such a young age. Did you know that? I know. She really was. And just so mature and lovely and just flawed and beautiful. I loved her so much. Do you I mean, obviously that you are on set all the time and you're surrounded by her fashion. How has that influenced you in your everyday fashion life? It definitely has influenced me. I mean, when I was growing up, I was on one of the most fashionable shows on television. And I was kind of learning at the same time that fashion is not only something that's, you know, beautiful, but also can tell a story. And that was sort of the thing with Mad Men, was that the colors that we wore were always telling a story. There was always a deeper meaning behind the clothes that we were wearing. It was never just about like the clothes looking nice. And I think that for me has always stuck. It's like, what can I say with this outfit?
What are you saying with your outfit today to me?
You know what? So this is, I'm wearing like sweats. I'm wearing a full sweatsuit right now. So I'm kind of telling you that I have given up. No, I'm kidding.
I'm gonna take it as you're incredibly comfortable and inviting me into
right
your
now.
home. That's how I'm gonna take it.
I'm so cozy. No, it's interesting. I love dressing up for events, and I like dressing up sometimes too, but today was a sweatpants kind of day. And
it's a perfect kind of day to have this conversation.
I'm not going to resist.
Well, we miss Sally too. Absolutely. So as you progress, and here comes Sabrina.
Yeah.
Sabrina, completely different character, complex in two different worlds. And we know that there's such a huge fan base in that type of genre. When you read the script, when you were asked to look at this role, what came through your mind?
It was really interesting because I found out about the project, auditioned for it twice, and got it within a week.
Wow.
Which is great because I think it mitigated a lot of stress. Sometimes you have to wait and wait and wait and wait, and that's kind of agonizing. But it was like a whirlwind. But the interesting thing is, like, once I was called about it, once I read the script, it kind of felt like she was always in my life. Like there was this weird element of, it just felt right. It felt like the shoe fit. And of course I auditioned for it, and then I had to wait like 2 days, and it was the worst 2 days of my life. I just felt like I would like hit my, like stub my toe, and I would have like a 2-hour mental breakdown or something. It was so sensitive for those 2 days of waiting. But I was really excited when I read the script, because I felt like it was just like everything felt like it aligned. All of a sudden, everything was. And
by then, you have done so many other by then, you have worked on so many different film projects. But this one in particular, you were leading. You were the lead. You are the center focus. You are going to be the one carry the entire show. Yeah. Did you feel pressure at all? Because at that time, you were still I don't even know you were like 16, 17. Yeah, I think I was 18. I was 18 when I got the show. I had just turned 18. It was right after my birthday. Yeah, I think there was a little bit of pressure, but to be quite honest, I was most concerned with like making the character believable and fun and interesting, and then the rest of it, I just kind of just sort of like drowned out the noise, and we just went into it and we just did it. And surprisingly, I wasn't nervous. I was just really excited. You could see it. I mean, for me, that particular genre always fascinates me, right? Supernaturals and powers. I definitely these are the type of show you just sit at home with a popcorn, you binge watch it, and you want to know all the little details, that things that happens on the show. Now, you've essentially played two worlds. You have to be the witch, and you have to be normal. Which one do you define yourself with most in an everyday life now with her? Because I know that in acting, you have to bring part of you to it, right? You have to bring part of who you are, I think it's sort of the duality almost that I faced growing up, managing my life in the industry part of the world, and also kind of my more, I guess some would say, normal friend group part of the world. That was an interesting balance to have, and I feel like Sabrina's going through a slightly similar thing, but just with like different elements. Yeah, I try to bring some of myself to Sabrina, but after a while, I just think of her as she's not really an extension of me anymore. She's her own thing. And the more you obviously experience with a character, the easier it gets, and the more fulfilling it gets when they have, certain moments. It all feels very earned. And obviously
in the first 2 seasons, she's really trying to balance her two lives. And I think by the third part, whether or not like a balance has been found between the world, that's not quite what happens. But I think Sabrina and the mortal world and the witch world kind of all sort of merge, and there's not really that struggle anymore.
Her maturity set in. Her maturity set in.
Yeah, I mean, the show is taking course over what's been like a very hectic year, because, you know, the first episode's her 16th birthday, and part 4 we're almost coming around to her next birthday, so there's not like it's just a lot has happened.
Well, I love it. And you guys, if you haven't seen it, go on Netflix. You guys have to watch it. I binge watched it.
Yeah, it's good.
It's definitely an amazing binge watch film. And now you have a new project that's coming up.
Yeah.
I just saw on your Instagram post. Quibi.
Yeah.
It's called Swimming with Sharks.
Yes.
Tell us about that. I know nothing about it. So
it's so exciting. So I don't know if everyone's downloaded Quibi yet, or if you're on the train, because it just launched yesterday. But it's a really cool new platform, and all the clips are like 6 to 10 minutes. And we're doing this thing called Swimming with Sharks, and it's a script that it takes place in Hollywood, and it's this kind of it's a spin-off of the, you know, the movie, but with a lot of different characters and a lot of different elements. But basically it surrounds this this sort of world of Hollywood, and this one particularly interesting assistant to a head of a giant production company, and that's played by Diane Kruger. I'm the assistant, and it just gets wild really quickly. We still have 3 weeks to film at some point.
Wow.
Yeah, we were about 3 weeks into it, and then obviously our production got shut down, so we've still got something to finish. But it is it's gonna be a wild ride. It's a character that it's a type of character I've really never played before, and she's extremely fun. She's extremely fun.
Is she a badass? She's a badass.
Yeah, she's pretty badass. I don't know if she's like a good badass, but she's definitely she's ruthless.
She is swimming with sharks after all. So you know, I got to work with Diane Kruger before as well, and it seems like you are always paired with these mega stars and such the actors and actresses with such a star power.
I know.
When you show up on set, do you still feel intimidated by them in any way?
I mean, obviously her presence is really just enthralling and gorgeous.
I mean, flawless, right?
But it helps that my character is like deeply obsessed with her, so so there's not much that I need to do. It's like, it'd be one thing if I absolutely hated her or something, but my character is like in love with her, so it's pretty easy actually.
Well, that makes it easy. Well, not only is Diana gorgeous, you are absolutely stunning, and I want to jump into our conversation of this amazing shoot that we got to do together. So guys, this is if you just joined us, this is Kiernan Shipka, and we're talking about our experience together, and also a little bit of history, how she got into the roles that she's been playing. And what's behind me is actually this issues of Harper Bazaar Singapore. And I'll give you a little bit of background on this that I don't think you even knew, Kiernan. When we were looking for an April cover, and April is known as a fashion cover, it was really important to find someone who can carry that title, a fashion title. And you were 20 years old. When your name came up, there was a question whether or not you were too young to grace the cover of Harper. Right? Harper is a little more sophisticated, and we wanted to make sure that you can carry it. And from the moment I met you, there was no doubt. And because I knew very little about you at the time, and you were not in the vocabulary of Harper's Bazaar, I should say. So when I got to meet you for the first moment, I understood why you were going to be perfect. Now, we did struggle with concepting what we were going to do at first. So when you were available, because we did have to work around the schedule because you were filming. It was crazy. I remember you were filming, and your team had told us that this is the only day that you can have because she's literally working every single day. So when we finally locked that in, before we locked that in, the editor-in-chief and the fashion director and I had numerous conversations what we're going to do. Kenneth goes, the editor-in-chief of Harper's Bazaar. Wendy is the fashion editor. We talked and talked, and this image was sent to me from the magazine. They said, you know what? She's so cool. The Sabrina character is so cool. It's a little witchy. We want something maybe very dynamic about her that we can use Pippa Hedren's image from The Birds.
So, yeah, that's pithy.
And yes, and we thought, but at the time, I couldn't actually relate to that. I personally did not relate to it. I thought, wait a minute, I don't see the darkness of the character. I'd rather celebrate the joy. And at this time, it was pre-quarantine, but Asia starting to get hit by coronavirus. So I wanted to put something out there in the Asia market that really celebrate peace and unity. So we then took the step of making the crows, the birds that attack, into a peaceful fantail dove or pigeon. And
what was the dove's name? That's the start.
We never named them. We never got to name them. So this image is so stunning to me, and there was so many layers of people don't realize what it takes to create. As you as an actress, you create characters. Every day you show up, you build on top of that character one layer at a time. And for us to shoot you, I had to get into what character I felt like you really embodied. So I'm gonna put this picture up.
Yeah.
This is Twiggy. Sorry. So I'm not sure that anybody ever compare you to Twiggy before in real life.
Only when they do those lashes on me. Then all of a sudden I get Twiggy and Edie Sedgwick a lot.
Oh, absolutely. You know, Edie Sedgwick was actually a reference right away in the very beginning, but I love the idea, the quietness of you. But the thing about you that is so incredible is your smile. When you smile, it changes the entire room, and you have this genuine gracious about your smile. But then Twiggy is completely opposite, right? Twiggy is about her eyes, and I had to make sure that we were able to translate this idea of the 60s beauty, the quiet beauty, and the peaceful beauty to the work that we do together. And I could not be more happy to see that you embodied it so well. So let's talk a little bit about that. When I met you and gave you this concept, what went through your head?
Yeah, obviously, photo shoots are really interesting because I was working, and again, like you said, it was my only day off, and I looked at the concept and I thought, all right, here we go. And there's some figuring out to do once you get there and you try on the clothes and you put on the makeup. But I felt like working with you, we got in a rhythm really quickly of just sort of knocking these images out. And it helped that the clothes were amazing and the hair and makeup people were amazing. And it was kind of a perfect storm of everything that sort of.
And you had a great team that was put together for you.
The concept,
Scarlett said your hairstylist and you work with a lot, and I introduced you to Fiona Styles, who I work with a lot, and that was a beautiful team. And it's rare sometimes you're on the set where everybody kind of falls in love with the character we create, because you, in a sense, I didn't shoot you like a model. You were not a model to me. You're a character, you're an actress, you're a thespian, and it was so refreshing to be able to direct you in that way. And you fell into that character that I remember was it. Look, don't look at the clothes. Don't give a fuck. Just chill.
Yeah.
Remember? And we were like, just fall into that chill confidence and express everything through your eyes. And everything just started lighting up. It was so beautiful to watch that evolution happen on set.
Yeah, I think it's for me, because I've done a lot of photo shoots. It's more about it's more about. And even, I'm sure you can attest to this, even when you're working with people who are actually just trying to sell the clothes, like it's less about modeling the clothes than it is just telling the story, right? And coming up with something that it feels meaningful and feels powerful beyond like, look, here I am, here's this thing that I'm wearing. You know, we're digging deeper than that. And I think that's something that you do really well, and it obviously it takes a team to kind of accomplish that. It's not a one-person job.
Well, on shoots like this, and for you guys out there watching, is that as on shoots, sometimes you work when as a photographer work with a model, we give a lot of directions to them and we shape them and form them what we want. And when you work with actors and actresses, at times you have to back up and allow them to kind of bring who they are forward, because they're no longer there just selling the clothes. They're there to represent who they are. So when you look at these images, do you still see yourself in it? Oh, by the way, I don't think you've seen this cover. This is
that's
cover.
Nice. I haven't seen that. Yeah, I do see myself in it, but you sometimes go to a different, at least for me, like I go to a different place once I'm kind of in front of a camera. It's just easier for me to embody something a bit outside of myself, or at least tap into a different sort of element of myself. There's something that's really satisfying about sort of throwing away a part of yourself and just sort of surrendering to this other thing. That for me has made photo shoots a lot more fun too, because when you sign up to act, you don't necessarily think that you're signing up for magazine shoots and cover shoots with amazing photographers like you, and it's a different world entirely, really. It is. So to kind of bring a little bit of my profession into it has always helped me, like always. It's so much easier to throw a bit of myself away and just focus on like tapping into something, whatever that may be on the day.
And I know a lot of people are probably wondering if that bird was really on set. If that bird was absolutely, there was
Hell
two
yeah,
birds
that
actually
was
on
there.
set.
Yeah, they were
they were
there.
there.
The show.
They were part of the cast, and there's a picture to prove it. So when I was coming up with this concept with the team in Harper's Bazaar Singapore, questions always come up. Is she afraid of animals? Is she going to be okay holding the dog? Is she going to be able to get into the zone of it? And I remember at one time I was debating, should I not tell her there's going to be birds on set until she gets there, and then we'll surprise her to see something would happen.
I love a surprise dove.
you gave so much. And just for the fun note for everybody, as the beautiful grace that she delivered in this picture, the bird was actually pooping on her, and I'm no lie. There's no lie.
This is true. It's not all glitz and glamour, everyone.
So that's acting right there. She's holding it beautifully, the quietness of it, the calmness.
Stay still. Please stay still.
When we crop the picture, because what's on the bottom, it's not.
Don't want to see it.
At all.
It's not Harper's Bazaar worthy.
And and for me, as an Asian photographer shooting for an Asia magazine, I always feel a lot of pressure, more so than I shoot for American magazine, because I understand American culture because I live with it every single day. But when I moved away from Asia, coming at such a young age, when I started working for Asia publications, I find myself have to learn the culture again and really respect it. So this particular shoot was really important for me to show them that a 20-year-old actress who would mature like a 40-year-old could deliver freshness and joy and be the brand for Harper's Bazaar. That was such a challenge for me. I don't know if that was anything that you worry about when you show up on photo shoots, if you're going to be able to deliver.
Yeah, no, for me, it's about having a good team, and I knew that the team was obviously incredible. And I had been sort of so swamped with stuff that I really just, honestly, I just went into it with no expectations. Like that's, for me, that's the easiest way to sort of get through any kind of photo shoot that's, slightly out of my norm or my comfort zone, is to just go in and just do it.
Do you enjoy photo shoots?
I do, when they're with people like you.
Oh, thank you.
If you saw
I want to show this because this is Twiggy, and this is such an inspiration for us for the day, and how you transform yourself from the body texture, the gestures, and the Bulgari was the day that really sponsored us that day with the jewelry.
Yeah, the jewels were amazing.
So incredibly beautiful in these shoots, and I have to say, I'm going to be 100% honest. Before we got to work together, I didn't know about you. I didn't know. And my team was like, you know her from Madman. And I was like, which character? Because I have forgotten.
I look a lot different now.
10 years ago, 8 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of put people in this capsule. And you're like, I know that person. You freeze them in that period of time. So for me, it was relearning who you were all over again. And I couldn't be more excited to have met you, because the maturity still blows me away. So for you, what would be the next next goal. You have been on an ensemble cast that won many awards. You are now down in the history of one of the most great television show ever made, and now having your own series on Netflix that it's incredible following and co-following. I think the following just gets bigger and bigger as the show
Yeah, it's
grows.
cool. I see we got a lot of the Chaos fans here.
We do.
And they're all commenting. I see every one of you. Hello.
So what is it for you? What do you want to dig your teeth into ultimately the most?
Yeah, the exciting thing about the Quibi project that I'm doing, Swimming with Sharks, is that it is a new character and it's quite juicy and it's quite intense, and the scenes are really challenging, and I hadn't been, you know, in that kind of headspace in a long time when it came to creating a new character and discovering new things and, you know, having a new bone to kind of chew on. So doing that and just doing characters that really push me and emotionally sort of challenge me it's just the most exciting thing. I mean, I think every kind of new thing that I take on, I'm reminded time and time again how much I love, you know, what I do. So yeah, it's just about playing like really interesting people and having a lot of variety. To me, variety is the is the spice of life. So it's about that. I just want, you know, to be able to play a range of different things. That's kind of the dream.
Well, ultimately, who's out there? What actor or actress inspire you absolutely the most when you show up every day to work?
I mean, there's a lot. I just, though, I always kind of find myself thinking back to my Mad Men days. I do, because that was what I learned from. And I'm always really grateful to those guys, because I don't think that I would have the same amount of experience that I do if I didn't have that show. Because even if I was working consistently when I was younger, but it was, let's say, on movies instead, it would be 2 months on, a couple months off. But with Mad Men, it was this consistent thing where I was like constantly being educated. So when I show up to work every day, I'm inspired by that kind of professionalism that I saw from a young age. So that to me is kind of like, whenever I go back to the drawing board, I always go back to Mad Men. I always go back to Sally. I always go back to my childhood. And to me, that was my childhood, and that's what carries the most weight for me when it comes to getting sort of re-inspired.
It's interesting you say that, because it's such a mature answer and so well put together, and I can see that in your Instagram, because we're in a world now of TikTok and Instagram all the time. I feel like you really take your time to craft the messaging you want to be out there that represents you. What is that messaging?
Yeah, for me, honestly, it's about being the most me that I can. I don't want to ever portray some kind of false image. If I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it. And sometimes I post more, sometimes I post less, but it's never going to be like an inauthentic version of me. And I think that for this day and age, this kind of social media thing, there's a lot of pressure to post all the time, to post yourself all the time, to be doing certain specific things and posts and all kinds of stuff. And it can end up getting toxic really quickly if you let it. So for me, it's just like, social media is awesome too. There's a downfall for sure, but that's going to come with a lot of things. So if I can just use it positively, and if I can just be myself on it, and really, it's as simple as that, and engage with the fans on our show who are the best ever, and kind of use it as a platform to talk with people around the world, and to engage with everyone that's, you know, loving Sabrina and who's liked Mad Men and who wants to follow me for some reason. That to me is just, it comes down to being myself. Like there's never gonna be an inauthentic version of me that I'm gonna put out there. That just doesn't feel right. So that's kind of the only thing I approach it with, really. Yeah,
because you don't really sensationalize your post. You really don't put anything out there just for the quick called clickbaits, right? It's really not a clickbait kind of pages. And do you find that? Yeah, but you mentioned it's a lot of pressure. I mean, for us, a photographer, for creative people, we use it as really a place to showcase our work, to showcase our what we're working on, and along the way, you're right, we're constantly worried. how many people like the picture? Is that we're constantly judging ourselves. We judge ourselves with our work already.
Yeah.
Then we're judging other people, judging our work.
I know, we're artists. We already give ourselves a hard enough time, right? And then you're adding another layer to it.
So do you let those things bother you online? Do you let any of those things that come into your life and engulf you?
I think some of that is always subconscious. And then I'll catch myself right away being like, no, you're judging yourself for no reason whatsoever. And that to me is sort of the important thing, is just catching it, because we're all obviously going to be influenced by Instagram. We're all going to think too much. We're all going to overthink a post of this or that. But at the end of the day, I think it's more about just like recognizing the thoughts and immediately being like, no, post the damn thing, just live your life, post, move on, set a time limit, please. Like, don't spend your life scrolling on Instagram only. Like, do something, like post it, engage, then go get some fresh air.
Then move on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But and in this time of age, everything's so open, right? They're so open. And you're not a subject to TMZ and you're not a type of person that actually gets a ton of attentions. But do you feel like you live out so openly everywhere on TV growing up? Do you feel at times that you're lacking that privacy of your own?
Not really, to be quite honest, because I do feel like I have an extremely sort of like private, personal life that I choose to keep really private. And there's a lot of value in that. To me, is not showcasing absolutely everything out there. I definitely grew up in a situation where I had to learn how to value my privacy really quickly. It wasn't necessarily happening for me so much as it was happening with, say the Johns and the Januaries on Mad Men. But obviously I saw from a young age that there can be a lot of attention on one's personal life. And I know for me that keeping that sense of normalcy and privacy in my life is something that is just essential for me. And to each their own. There's no right answer to how you should go about living your life and how much you should share and how much you shouldn't. But I know for me that, keeping an element of it to myself, and you got to work on it. You have to work hard on it sometimes, but it's worth it to me.
And this is coming from a 20-year-old. We can learn a lot from you. A lot of us can learn so much from you. Speaking of privacy, I read somewhere, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, you were trained in ballroom dancing?
Yeah, I did. I danced for maybe like 4 or 5 years.
Oh my gosh, I wish I'd known, because we could have been dancing together.
Next time.
I was trained dancer as well. I was trained dancer.
Once we get out of this quarantine, we'll go dancing.
Oh my gosh. So I was trained dancer. I was a Disney trained dancer. So I don't know, you worked with Disney when we were younger, but all I ever wanted was to be part of the Mickey Mouse Club. That was my dream.
Amazing.
And I could never, and it's interesting because in America, growing up here, I was very colorblind. I didn't realize I was Asian, and I would go to TV auditions, and I would go to like, I would sign up for central casting extra so I can be on set. Much of what I've learned how to do what I do, and I know you were there, so you saw how I directed you. They come from not a photographer perspective, more from a director perspective. Because I was on set on Party of Five. This is before you were born. I was on set of Party of Five for a couple of years, and I wasn't there trying to get my SAG card, even though I got it. I was there to looking at how they set up the track, how did they do the hair and makeup, how much time it took to grow something, build something, and create something. And that was my learning. So I feel like you have the same learning growing up in television from 6 years old to now, that all those journeys are incredible learnings,
Oh my God, 100%.
But I definitely, for me, it was like, how do I become a Mickey Mouse Club kid? And I think even when I was in my 20s, I thought I can still audition for Mickey Mouse Club. Even when there was no more Mickey Mouse Club, I wanted to be part of that. I mean, you never went down you didn't do the Disney route, did you?
I wanted to so badly. Obviously, what kid wouldn't? I was so funny. I was on like the best television show ever, and all I wanted was to be on Disney when I was a kid. Like that was my dream. But yeah, it was just a dream. I never did it.
Well, there's still time.
There's always
Disney Plus now. There's
Yeah,
still absolutely time. Well, I am so happy to have all this conversation with you today,
yeah,
and we
this
have
is
some
so
Q and
fun.
A from people. So let's ask away. So a couple of questions that have
Yeah.
been fit into the DMs, and that is, what is your best advice that was ever given to you, and what would be the best advice you would give to others?
I think the best advice that was given to me, there's been a lot, but I think the thing that sticks with me most is probably just focusing on loving yourself. um, I think that there's anyone to a varying degree, wants some sort of external validation. That's only natural. But for me, over the years, I've learned that I the way that I thrive is when I'm most confident with myself, not what this person thinks of me or what that person thinks of me. It's really about being proud of my own work, putting my best foot forward and being the best version of myself that I can be, and doing things because I want to do them for me, not necessarily because I want to please another person. And I think it can kind of relate to sort of any career or any sort of life that
And we
one
could
may be
so
leading.
need that right now. We all can need that right now.
Yeah.
Self-love is something that is
Yeah.
being in
I
it,
mean,
I
be
can
gentle with
completely.
yourself.
Yeah, that's one of the best advice I was ever given was actually from another director when I was
Mm-hmm.
only a student at school, and he came to give a lecture. And long story short, he came to me to my graduation and said, "I'm going to give you a graduation present." The present he gave me was simple as this, because he was such a profound name in the industry, with Tarsim,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
he came on campus. Everybody thought, "Oh my God, he came to campus for Yu Tsai. Yu Tsai must be somebody that we should hire." So all these scout people worked there, and I got my name known. And I thought, "Oh my God, what an amazing gift." He goes, "No, that's not what the gift I want to give you. The gift I'm going to give you is, remember this. Now you're recognized, but from now on, you will only work with people who are better than you. Hire people
Mm-hmm.
who are better. You should be the worst person in a room with your skill, so you can continue
Yeah.
to challenge yourself and learn." And that was ultimately, I still get chills when I think about that moment, because that's so many multiple level of that advice. Is one, you have to be humble enough to know that to recognize that you're not the best, and yet
Mm-hmm.
you're surrounded by the best of best people. So when I watch your
Yeah.
career group, that's what I saw. I was like, wow, she's living that advice that was given to me. She's living in a space constantly
Yeah.
surrounded by the best of the best, you know?
Yeah, it's like everyone around. And also I think another thing that's really kind of important, especially now, is, champion your friends, like champion the people that you're around, support others and what they're doing, even if it doesn't necessarily align with exactly what you're doing. Like it's
Mm.
really, it's more exciting and it's more fulfilling when you're proud and excited to be around other people, and when you're fans of other people, and when you want to get better and you want to learn from other people. We can all learn something from each other. And I think kind of going in with that mindset of like, throw the ego aside and just get really excited to work with other people that are skilled. That's something that's really wonderful, that you can't let your own agenda get in the way of just like
Mm.
getting to know other people and getting excited by but what they have to say and what they have to do. That's
Well,
really exciting too.
I love both of the advices that I've given me and given you, just because
Yeah.
first you love yourself, and then you're able to recognize that you're not the best at what you do, and that
Mm-hmm.
other people be able to help you. That's really that's now going to be my best advice that ever given to me, is a
Yeah, that's
combination of
incredible.
our advice together. That's so valuable. So people want to know, was there ever a part that you truly wanted but you didn't get?
Yeah, there have been a few, for sure. For sure.
Can you
I
name them?
Speaking of Disney, I auditioned for a co-star episode of Cory in the House, and I never got it.
I
I
know
was
Cory in the House.
I literally, it was an audition for like a a Girl Scout in the background or whatever, playing, you know, I think like Madison Pettis's friend or whatever. And oh my God, I got the audition. I was so excited and I didn't get it. And that was frustrating. But I think that, yeah, there's definitely other roles that I haven't gotten. And that's a tricky thing about this world, is that there are a lot of no's before you hear a yes. There's exponentially more, actually. But yeah, the thing about it that that I've learned is, when I was auditioning for Sabrina, once I got it, I was doing a lot of chemistry reads as well with other actors for other roles. And being on the other side of the audition, you know, having the role and watching other people kind of come in and out, it really taught me a lot, because it's not that you're not good. It's just that everyone fits a role differently. Like there's a role out there for everyone. There's tons of stuff out there. So inevitably you're going to hear a lot of no's, because there's a lot of really talented people. And just because you don't achieve something doesn't mean that you're not talented. It just means that you're not right for it. And I think that kind of changed my mentality when it came to rejection and whatnot when it comes to this industry.
And I have one more question here, is that everybody knows that you were super fashionable on different TV shows. Even Sabrina, it was just from the very first episode with the red coat, was so recognizable. And in your journey of all different fashion that's happened, was there a, I shouldn't have done that fashion moment for you?
Oh my God, yeah. If you don't have those, then you're not doing it right. I think that, you know, if you don't have at least a few cringe fashion moments, it's just not worth it. It's not nearly as exciting. I mean, maybe it's not fun like the day after, if you have, you know, a certain fashion risk that you take that really doesn't translate well. But it's always fun to look back on, at least for me. Like, I think being fearless with that kind of stuff is a better mentality than like playing it safe. But that's coming from someone who really likes to have fun with fashion, and I don't mind, you know, having a flop every once in a while if it's if it was a risk, if it was a little bold.
So will you say that's your personal style, a little fun, a little bold?
Right now it's sweatpants. But I have been, you know, I got a bunch of those one pieces. So I've been trying to spice it up a little bit, even if it is quarantine style fashion. I'm trying to keep it a little bit exciting.
I actually am so happy in a way that celebrities and actors and actresses that I've worked with over the years that are now showing the true authenticity a lot on Instagram and on any different kind of platform. Even when people are doing Zoom TVs and they're just being themselves, because truly, without hair, makeup, and styling, without all the people who doll us up, we have to be who we are. And to see that now, it's so refreshing. I'm not sure that's going to be a new normal once everything goes to normal again, but I think we all want to be pretty with the team that we have around us. But it's absolutely refreshing to see authenticity right now. Yeah,
for now we're just chilling and, you know, having our quarantine snacks and wearing sweatpants.
Thank you, Kiernan, for joining me today, and I couldn't be more proud and happier to co-create these beautiful images together for Harper's Bazaar Singapore. And I think you're more mature than you say your age is. I think you're lying, by the way.
I'm lying. I'm 48.
I think that's a big lie. but at the end of all, I hope that when all this is over, we get to do a ballroom dance routine together. And
I would love that.
Absolutely love that than anything else.
That sounds fantastic.
Well, thank you so much. And we can't wait to see Swimming with Sharks. And thank you again for being with us on Let's Talk. And I will see you again soon.
Sounds
stay
good,
safe out there, everyone.
So fun.
And stay strong and stay safe out there, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Stay inside. Bye.